All right, we are live.
Uh, um, Ad blocker stopped working this morning for a bit.
Ooh, terrible.
It wasn't fun. Oh, whoa, whoa. Hang on.
What did they call it? Stereo?
Are you hearing that or?
Yeah. Yeah, it was crossing the threshold.
Yeah, it's there we go. No, my computer's really weird. It like the with the headphones, it just doesn't always recognize when they're in, or it sends some apps to them but not others. And I'm just like, I don't know how I ended up here, but yeah, it's kind of obnoxious. And like I go in and change the setting and then it reverts back immediately. So
All right, I'm going to go use the restroom real quick. Hopefully people start filing in. Kamizite says he might be joining, but he's on call at work right now, so he might abruptly leave as well.
got it. Oh, this is interesting. Like I was expecting more people.
Yep. I was worried we'd have the opposite problem. Something must have come up.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew he wouldn't get pirate just because he said he had a teacher's night or whatever.
Right. And Brad is.
Yeah.
Oh, there's someone.
Hey.
Oh, hey.
Hey, I was wondering if you were going to show up tonight.
Yeah, me too. I'm not feeling great.
Oh, I'm sorry, man. Well, do you know what'll make you feel better?
What's that?
Talking with friends.
Talking about Switch 2.
That's
I
right.
got a rant that needs to go out, so yeah.
Well, make sure it's appropriate for when it is. Don't just come in guns blazing. Don't use all your MP at the start of the fight.
Vanish X Zone, my friend. Vanish X Zone.
Oh, okay. I was really glad that it was X Zone because I heard something else. I was like, I'm sorry, this is a family-friendly stream.
Except that you don't always get the item if you do that. I mean, you don't get the item if you do that.
This is completely true, and that's the consequence I'm expecting because I'm not sure how well I'm feeling today to fight out the boss battle the true way.
Fight out the boss battle the true way.
Vanish Doom.
Do you get the item with Doom?
Yep. X-Zone removes them from battle. Doom actually takes them out.
Okay, well, it is past time, so let's get started.
Break also sometimes works, but less frequently.
Well, we have not had a Nintendo Direct like that in a long time, and it was definitely a Direct, and let's just, this is episode 53 where we're going to talk about it. It was interesting. There are parts of it I'm like, ooh, I like that. Parts of that I'm like, I don't know about that. And parts of it that were like, what the crap is that? Where it's just all over the place. I guess let's just start with general impressions. Thoughts?
I think the last Direct that we had like that was probably almost 2 years ago, which is the one where they did Mario Wonder and all the other madness that came out that time. I didn't realize it had been so long since that announcement, though.
Though that hectic description you guys give, to me, that's just kind of that's how Nintendo does.
Yeah,
man.
that's just it's okay. That's the thing. It's like every time,
except for when they're not.
Yeah, that was okay. Let's just. I mean, with what's on the screen, they open up with. There were a lot of people with a lot of theories about the next Super Mario Kart. No one expected open world racing game.
Yeah, open world was not one of the guesses.
But it's such a cool concept.
It's interesting.
No, I'm excited to
go with it, really.
My kids like to do like hide and seek, so that's actually perfect for that.
Ooh, I didn't even think about that. That's good. Also, didn't expect we get. Yeah, I did.
The concept of Mario Kart.
Let's play as the cow.
Nothing else to do.
There's just all sorts of things in this that are worth discussing, like the Rockabilly Peach, where you're just like, okay, but why though? Like, how do these outfits?
Where they're just like shifting mid race?
Yeah,
like he ate like a hamburger and turned into something else, sort of thing.
I mean, when I eat a hamburger, I tend to turn into something else too, but that's a different story.
I like the name too, Mario Kart World. It's just, I think it's good.
Yeah,
I
mean, because it's an open world.
Well, that's also kind of like the thing with Mario. Like, you take an object, you get a new costume. Like, that's just classic Super Mario.
Yeah, but it's just
fair enough.
It's not in Mario Kart.
But like, what does this Rockabilly outfit do?
I mean, obviously, you go and you sing Elvis songs when you're Rockabilly, and
I have to say, I liked the song they had for it. I liked the rock. It was pretty good. But this is then they've been having you do tricks, but now we're going to be grinding on rails like it's Tony Hawk.
Grinding on rails, nothing. Wall jumping.
Yeah.
like it's Tony Hawk.
No, it's just and the concept of you then have to race to the next track.
I love that idea.
Although I will say something that I didn't love about it:
that being
the $80 price tag.
Yes.
Yeah.
And possibly 90 for physical.
Nintendo, you're so adorable. Like people were already ready to go after Sony for the hike to $70.
I mean,
like,
Nintendo games have been at
Nintendo's-
$70 for a long time now.
What do you mean? There's only been one Tears of the Kingdom.
I mean,
That's it.
I'm fairly certain I paid $70 for Smash.
No.
Okay.
No.
Nope. Tears of the Kingdom was the only one that was 70, and it's been and I think it's been fairly agreed upon that it wasn't worth 70, and everyone regrets paying 70 for it. I know I do.
Let me say this much: Splice, it is completely possible that you paid 70 for it. Nobody else did, but
yeah,
it's possible that you got shanghaied by.
I bought it digitally day
person.
of, so no, that's not true. But I just thought I did.
No, obviously not. Unless Nintendo was targeting just you.
No, it definitely was not.
I don't think I used the. I think I used the vouchers for it.
Yeah, so you got it for 50 then.
Yeah. But
and even though a lot of places were selling games for 50, there were 60. Some stores were still selling it at 50, and that's usually where I would go to buy.
Mm-hmm. Now you can get this one for 50 if you do the bundle, but
digital, yeah.
And it would be digital.
Well, for a long time for me, it's one of those things where when we've been discussing game prices and we then compare, it's like, okay, what was a game then versus a game now? And part of it was the price. Part of the reason the price has been held down despite inflation is the fact that they have been going digital, which has offset some of the cost of inflation. But I've been expecting at some point someone to start charging more for physical.
So, is it time for my incoming rant? Because this was the topic. I was saving it. You said not to go guns blazing.
Well, I would like to point out something, and this is timely because it's a conversation I had with my best friend just the other day, who was talking about, what do I do? Like the wife has been using the Switch. We've been trading off. He's a collector. He's like Baggins. Like he's a Sea of Coden fan. So when that came out, he was all up on that. There's like a lot of classic stuff that are still coming out for the Switch that are being re-released and remastered and stuff like that. And he's like, do I want to get a physical copy? But that means I have to get it for the Switch, which means I have to divide time with her. Do I just bite the bullet and buy it for my PS5? But I completely regret getting the PS5 that's digital only. And nowadays, like they're talking about, like he was trying to save $50. He just had a kid. You can't blame him. Like it was just like, I want a PS5, but like I need to be fiscally responsible about it, and I can get this for cheaper than the other. And in the end, he was like, man, I wish I could just like put a drive in there. But I mean, like, there's reports that the next Xbox, whatever that ends up being, is going to be no drive. That's the way the industry is going. So, more expensive for physical for what? Like, the industry is going away from physical, and I don't like it. Like, I have a space problem, which is why I tend to go digital with my things. But like with the indie books, I'll always buy a physical version of the Core 3 when a new edition comes out. But the rest of it I'll get like digital, and I'll get digital the Core 3 too. We're vastly approaching a world where like maybe there isn't physicals anymore. Like maybe it's just digital. And if it's digital, if there's just digital, if there's no process to making the disc, making the packaging, shipping the packaging, which is the big part of the cost there, then
it's at least a significant one.
So you could be right, but in the meantime, I'm still planning to vote with my dollars.
Oh yeah, 100%. I'm not. This is not something I relish in saying. This is not like me dancing on the graves. And my decisions have been mostly related to, what do I have the space for? What don't I have the space for? And being a DM as I am, I do not miss carrying around 2 backpacks full of books versus 1 tablet with everything on it. But it's books and not games.
Well, as long as there's enough people buying physical, they'll still make them. So that's
like for me,
with the wallet.
I have no issue with paying more for physical. Like $10 more to me for physical seems reasonable because of trade-offs.
There's printing costs and all that. Absolutely.
Like I'm willing to do that.
Except 90s. I mean, $10 more for physical compared to digital. I think that makes sense. Yeah. However, $90 does not make sense. That is ridiculous. That is absurd.
We'll find out.
I feel like it should be. I feel like it should be the opposite. I feel like it should be $10 cheaper for the digital, not $10 more for the physical. If you get what I'm saying there.
Yeah, it's functionally the same.
It's not. It's upcharging the game to get the physical, as opposed to downcharging a game that does not have a physical medium that it was printed.
I think
has less cost to produce.
I think what you're saying that makes sense 10 years ago. A lot the reason game prices have been so stable when nothing else has been the fact that they've been making more margin wise off the digital.
Oh, they've been making more off of margin of the digital, but there's also a scale. The amount of units sold has dramatically increased, which is why I keep seeing there's always people like in comments are like, "Oh, but inflation, and I'm like, you know what? If that argument held any water, a gaming PC would cost over $30,000 today. A 50-inch screen TV would cost over $10,000 today.
Volume.
Sorry, this is just something that is just beyond the pale. It's like, dude, things do not inflate equally. Things never have inflated equally. That's not an argument. It's not a true one. And the thing is, it's the economics of scale. So before, for a game to be successful, people are like, oh, well, back in the Super Nintendo, there were some games like Earthbound and Final Fantasy VI that they sold it for like $80-$90, which in today's dollars would be whatever. Here's the difference. To succeed, they needed to sell like what? A good selling game was like what? It was amazing if it hit 100,000 back then. Whereas now you see games that are failures if they only sell 6 million, right? So it's a matter of scale and budget. The tools make it easier. The production costs are way lower than they were. I mean, before cartridges had an entire circuit board in there. Now it's just a flash drive or a CD. So like manufacturing's gone down. They don't even make instruction manuals anymore. So like the actual manufacturing and thanks to digital, the distribution, the costs are way down. All they really have to offset the majority of it is the production cost. I mean the development cost. But now that they sell millions of units instead of thousands of units, I'm sorry, the inflation argument holds no water in any way, shape, or form.
It holds some value. You can't completely disregard it because everything's more expensive.
Not to the degree the degree that the people are trying to use it as a defense.
It's just
because like I said, computers and TVs and other electronics, like all of those have gone down in price despite inflation.
Yeah.
And why? Because the economy of scale. That's why.
Yeah. Well, and so
it's cheaper to produce over time.
Yeah. And so
as innovations happen, but like also, and just to add on to what Lunastar say.
Well, I mean, it's more expensive to make a lot of electronics today, but because there's the scale, it's offset through more units.
Right. But I would also feel, differently if this wasn't an industry that thrived off of billions of dollars being generated by DLC.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. DLCs.
Yeah, it's just like, sorry, bud.
Yeah, they've gotten better at monetizing different
and the
things
gotchas and the cutting up your games into sectionalized and giving me that section for DLC for an extra 15, the nickel and diming of it. You don't get to play inflation with me. Give me a whole me a whole game for one cost. Looking at you, Larian. Still absolute rock stars. This week shamed Wizards of the Coast into what's that farming simulator that's so popular? I know Lunastar's mentioned it before.
Stardew Valley.
Stardew Valley. They had a Baldur's Gate like a little mod that you could do about it.
I saw that.
And Wizards of the Coast said, no, don't do that. That's infringing on our copyright. And basically the head of Laren Studios is like, what are you doing? Like, we made this game for everyone. Don't do that. Don't do that, or we'll never make a game for you again. And then we're going to really start getting in fights because technically those characters are ours, not yours. We made the characters just in your, and Wizards like, sorry, Larian, please don't stop making us money.
But yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, bringing up DLC is a good point, because, like Smash Brothers, if you bought both fighter packs, technically you spent $120 on that game, not just 60.
Well, and that's part of what I'll say about this is I don't regret spending $120 on Smash Bros. And that's the big thing. If you're going to increase the price, it's like, okay, let's see if you can actually deliver on that price increase.
All I know is like if you buy a game that's $90, I don't want to see DLC ever.
Yeah.
You're going to see DLC. You're going to.
Like if you buy a game and it's $90 and you're going to try and sell me on DLC, that is not a worthwhile value.
No. There's just giant sticker shock too, because it's like one generation, it's a $50% increase, right? Because for the Switch, it launched at $300. That's kind of been a stable price point for a while. Now this is going to $450. I mean, yes, we've seen consoles in that range before, but that's still a 50% increase over what the Switch 1 was. Well, and Switch 1's probably going to be even cheaper now. And then the games were $60, and now they're going to $90. That's another 50% increase.
So
that's some major sticker shock, man.
So I've been thinking about that personally, because one, I will say, as much as I like the Switch, the Switch feels very cheap in terms of the materials made, and especially things like the dock. Like the fact that the dock does nothing for the Switch. Like what I actually,
it protects it from soup.
Yeah, see whereas now the dock actually provides an increase in resolutions. Yeah, well, they're advertising like this actually can display at higher resolutions docked.
It also actually has an Ethernet port. Gas.
Yeah, imagine
that too.
And so
and a microphone.
What I think, like my actual opinion on the price of the games, I think that for whatever reason, and look, this is global economics, so it can be all sorts of different things. The cost of the Switch, I have a feeling that they're not getting the margins on the Switch itself, even at the price increase. And so they're trying to make up for it on the games. That's just my guess.
That's a rough. I mean, look, and I'll come out honestly here. I watched the whole thing this morning when I was doing chats at work, and my exact comment was like, "Oh, all that looks nice. I'm not getting it, but it looks really nice." Just because there's just I don't have room for another console again. It seems like a great value, and all of it seems great, but I barely use the Switch that I have, and barely have since I bought it. I bought it for Smash Brothers and Legend of Zelda, and after I finished that, it just kind of hung out in its dock, and still is over there. Hi, Switch. Sorry.
Oh,
I love Steam Deck now.
And the thing is something like the Switch, it's a harder sell for me to be asking $450, because a PlayStation, I know I'm only going to get one of those, but the Switch, we have 3 of them in our household. Lizzie has one, I have one, and then there's one for the kids.
Well, and that's interesting with the game sharing thing they're pushing, where they're trying to make it so that you can play more games across different devices.
Yeah, you could have more local, co-op. I mean, but it's the download play from the DS.
Yeah,
which is nice, but
yeah, I thought that was interesting, because it's one of those things. It's you can tell they're thinking about that.
But the total price to get multiple for families that people want their individual Switches now. That's a huge ask on the money now.
You have 3-4 kids, Lunasar?
Yeah.
3?
He has 12 kids.
4.
Four kids. So what? We're talking almost $2,000.
Yeah.
If each of your kids want one for Christmas.
Well, there's no way.
No, I mean, obviously not. But unless somebody wins the lottery or something like that. But
yeah, getting all my kids a DS
all your kids one
wasn't that bad compared to getting everyone getting all my kids a Switch 2 would just be
and then there's also
insane.
Like you and Lizzie a Switch 2 as well.
Yeah.
Although I guess technically she could write it off as a business expense.
If you file that way. Okay, this is
way.
Talking about weird things. This is the weirdest thing.
The fact that this game they're talking about costs money is ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm just like, this is a tech demo.
The tour costs money. I missed that.
Yeah, that's one of the dumbest.
Yeah, now I doubt it's going to cost much of anything, but it's just like, okay, well, no one's good. Like, why did you bother making this then?
It's this. I mean, like, as a pack-in title, this makes. I mean, especially considering, like, look at Sony on the PS5, right? It came with Astrobot's Playroom, which was like a full game, not like a small little tech demo. It was, I mean, Astrobot, the game was way, way, way bigger, sure, but like, it was a pretty decent sized game that came with the PS5. And so it's like, yeah, the fact that they charge for this thing is just stupid.
Yeah, it's just like, that's just a dumb idea.
I mean, this is like,
I think it's a great pack-in to teach you about the system.
Yeah.
Yes.
If this were
but that's the only thing it's for.
Yeah. This should be their Wii Sports.
Yeah.
100%.
And Wii Sports was free.
Yeah. I just
100%.
Wii Sports was enough of a game for people.
Well, I found out something interesting. Did you know Wii Sports was only a pack-in in America? They didn't do it in Japan.
I did not know that.
Yeah. I didn't know it either.
Bad guy, Nintendo. Bad guy. Boo. Boo on you. I hope you're listening to this, and I hope you feel bad, Nintendo.
Mr. Nintendo.
Now, I don't know anything about Express cards.
Nintendo, stop
is this something you know about, Lunasar?
Well, it's just the whole, okay, we want to have a certain data rate. We're going to move on to the new technology, so you just got to buy a new SD card that fits our specs so we can have our games transfer fast enough.
So this isn't like a proprietary.
No, that's not.
I just hadn't heard of these before, so I just thought I'm gonna ask about that.
I've seen other people started to make a big deal. I'm like, it's no different than the PS5 saying, hey, since we require a fast enough load time, we have a benchmark that it has to pass on the. If you put in your own SSD hard drive, I don't see it as any different than that. So
It's the same thing with the Steam Deck. Like it's there's like, hey, you can put one of those SDs, but we recommend you do this one because, and I forget what it is right off the top of my head, because like otherwise, don't play anything that needs a little speed on there.
Yeah, but I can understand people are frustrated if it's a proprietary like the the PSP and the Vita did.
Like what the Red cameras did with their proprietary plug-in memory cards.
Which, okay, this was another thing. Talk about proprietary. When they started showing off their chat features, I'm gonna go back to that.
That was interesting.
It was but part of me when they started doing the camera stuff, I'm like, okay, is this? I need to buy some proprietary. On their website, they actually say like, as long as you have a USB-C, it'll still work. I'm like, okay, that's good. That's opposite of what I'm used to for Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
They tend to like their oddball. Here's our own thing that you need to use. And so
here's the floating microphone. It's a drone that's basically a microphone that hovers 3 inches from your mouth.
Yeah, okay, but that would be kind of cool.
Its name is Jerome.
Don't ask us why it's called.
I hope they make it easy to mute, because like I thought it was creepy.
That's what the C button is.
I thought it was incredibly creepy that the PS5 by default was listening.
Yeah.
I always mute it, and I find it equally creepy that the Switch 2 will always be listening unless I mute it.
If that's how it works.
Because like the idea behind the PS5 is they wanted to always be listening. So when you get like a tough achievement, it wanted to record your reaction. So when you play back achieving that moment, it has, whatever excitement you had right there, so you could relive it. But
yeah, that's bullcrap.
I'm like, that's creepy. That's creepy. I say no. Even with that excuse, I say no.
Well, and that's the thing. That's all it is it's an excuse.
Yeah. But like
that's how we can justify it.
I think this is kind of an interesting idea. The picture right next to the person, so you can see their reactions for the gameplay and cooperative, like trying to get the couch co-op. Like, and that's the thing that you can tell by the way they're trying to sell it. They're trying to, I mean, heck, the picture that's up right now, they're trying to get the couch co-op feel back with online stuff, which is something that I like as a concept.
As long as it's friends only, I can see that being an unmitigated disaster with strangers.
They kept saying friends and family.
They're selling you more.
They did say friends and family. Yeah.
The important thing is friends and families is an important term with Nintendo because they literally have friends and family groups with their social stuff. So I think they're literally talking about that.
Yeah, I hope so. I believe that's what they mean. I just I
can't imagine.
Verify.
Yeah, I just can't imagine Nintendo of all companies, who is clearly terrified of the internet.
Oh yeah,
just throwing open the doors like that.
Yeah.
They're a little too terrified of the internet, in my opinion. It's just one of those things. It's like with a lot of things with the Nintendo, it's like, okay, let's back up or go. A little weird.
Nintendo is the kindly old grandfather who does genuinely want you to have a good time, but doesn't understand technology, and that's when the inner monster comes out.
Yeah. Well, yet
but yet he's the one who's got all the new innovative technology that no one else has.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. But he just doesn't understand it. But but the other thing is, like, let's be honest here. They're selling you another peripheral, and like that whole thing, and plus you can't use it unless you get Nintendo Online, because you have to do Nintendo Online to do any of the game chat features and stuff like that. It's all tied to the sub.
I personally think it's funny because it's essentially a Kinect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, oh, we've come full circle here.
Well, like when Xbox does it, it's not cool. When Nintendo does it,
it's also it's a complete, with the Kinect, it was a completely different technology you had to buy, and then they tried to make you force it on you. Whereas Nintendo's like, hey, here's this new feature we're going to put in.
Exactly.
And you can use it with a regular webcam.
Oh, can you?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Oh, so it doesn't have to be their camera.
It has to be one that's compatible with USB-C, obviously.
Right.
So that does eliminate a lot of the older webcams.
Well, I mean, it's not that hard to get an adapter. I mean,
but then, that's one thing I have noticed is sometimes an adapter doesn't fully adapt.
That can happen. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but so it's one of those things where it's like, okay, that's a good thing. I'm pleased with that. As a concept, I don't see myself using it because I have Discord, and that suits my needs. But
I do know my oldest is excited because he has some friends that doesn't have Discord. But then again, he says he'll probably run into the same problem with friends that may not have Nintendo Switch Online. So
yeah.
Either way, he's stuck with some issue.
Yeah. And look, it's to be able to stream on Discord, I'm paying a fee. So it's not it's one of those things. I don't think it's that insane an ask. Frankly, for me, because it's not like this is also coming with an increase in Nintendo Switch Online pricing. To me, this is more we're trying to add more value to get people into the Switch Online ecosystem, which when companies go through that, I'm better with it.
I didn't like I don't like that you have to do that for Sony. I don't like that you have to do that for Nintendo. Like I don't dig the whole you got to pay extra to use our inline communication system.
I don't like it either. It's what the market is, unfortunately.
I mean, I know it's what the market is, but like at the same time, it's like bro,
like, I'm already paying my ISP. I don't. Why am I paying? Yeah,
like that's one of the reasons why I enjoy Steam, because it's entire. You're not paying anything extra for granted, you're probably better off with Discord, but at least you're not paying anything extra for their chat service or anything like that. You don't have to get like Stream Deluxe.
Yeah, so I do like how they did. I mean, just going off of what's on the screen, they talked about how I was afraid that if you're walking with the Switch and the Switch just flies off because it's just a magnet. But I like how they did specify it's an electromagnet.
Yeah.
Though I wonder how much that uses the battery, though. Like, does that drain the battery faster using an electromagnet?
So I read their developer commentary. They're saying this has about 20% more battery capacity than the last one. Now, the thing that they didn't say is this pulling more power, so does it have more battery life than the last one as well?
Yeah.
And so, but I would like the Switch already had one of the best batteries I've seen on a system. So even if this thing drops, like 20%, it'd still be plenty of battery life for me personally.
I've replaced one of those batteries. They're a pain in the butt. So, but you aren't talking about the physical design of where it is.
No. I'm just talking about how well it does its job.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know. I feel like this is one of those I think it has done well. Also, somewhat like this part where they're showing the runtimes being quicker of Switch games on the Switch. Someone pointed out,
nice. The load times, yeah.
Well, it's like, you didn't show us how long it took to load the same. Like, you just quit whenever it loaded up quicker on the Switch. So how big the difference is, and someone found that exact spot in that game, and it's about double.
There are some games that that we have on the Switch that we don't play just because the load times are so unbearable.
Like what?
It makes there was one called Little Dragon Cafe. Got it just because it looked cute and it came with a plush of like this little baby dragon, but it's kind of like a Harvest Moon style game, but the crux is you like raise a baby dragon in kind of a cozy simulation like you're running a little cafe and you have a dragon that you're raising, but its load times are atrocious. So even though Lizzie was looking forward to playing it, plays it for like an hour and she's like, I can't do it anymore. Well, it's kind of like one thing that was nice about getting the PS5 and playing a PS4 game on it is, everything loads faster now. So, yeah.
I'm glad that'll work here. Something else. This is a non-tangible thing. Oh, did you have more on that?
Well, I was going to say, I mean, that's also why they require the SD card that they do for that reason.
Gotcha. Okay. So another thing that I liked seeing that had nothing to do with any of what they're showing. These were three guys I've never seen before in any sort of Nintendo presentation. And it's just nice to see that they're starting to hand over the reins to the next generation.
Yeah.
Because Nintendo has struggled with that. And so the interviews they had were interesting because one of the things they talked about was how, because one of the guys is sort of the Nintendo, I forget what his title is, but basically R&D type guy. And
the hardware director, I think it was.
Yes, that was it. And they were talking about, okay, like when you came up with this feature, like, was this something the hardware people were like freaked out by? And the hardware guy's like, well, actually, no, because we had kind of been thinking about it ourselves. And so we had already kind of done a lot of work on it. And there were a lot of things that apparently they had anticipated. Now, okay, let's talk about the mouse controls, because I will say when this started getting rumored, I was like, is that really that useful a thing? But the thing they point out, there being accelerometers in it, makes it so it's not just a mouse.
Yeah, that little putting thing. I'm like, you can't do that with a mouse.
Yeah,
that's actually interesting.
Yeah,
it's like a mouse plus.
The gyro,
I'm like, that is an interesting, like, I don't know how useful it is, but I could see it if you, like, say, like, I always remember, like, I liked some of the gimmicky stuff in Metroid Prime 3.
Well, the thing that's interesting about this is the way they're handling it. It looks like they still like the idea of the motion controls and the stuff that they learned with the Wii, but they're not making it required anymore.
There was something in the interview where they said something like that almost verbatim.
Oh, really?
Well, like, like the thing is, I could see, like, you know, for example, playing Metroid Prime, saying, hey, I could play this in mouse mode because mouse is superior for FPS, right? But the thing is, if you're playing on a couch, you don't have a mouse pad, so that's the problem.
The return of the SNES mouse pad piece of plastic.
Yeah. So
that to that point, the game that they really tried to highlight the mouse controls, the robot wheelchair basketball game. I saw that and I'm just like, I would never play this.
Yes, wheelchair basketball.
I kind of love it. I'm not gonna lie.
I like it.
It feels like a cross between Rocket League and NBA Jam.
Yeah, I like the concept of it, and I like the what could you do with two mice, because that is something that you would definitely do. But the issue is, I'm sorry, where am I going to get enough flat board space to play a game like this?
Exactly. It's like, where are you going to play it? It's like, unless you play it at your computer desk and just move your keyboard out of the way, so you have your whole space to work with.
Yeah, and I'm just like, there's no way I would ever play this game.
I'm curious how the mouse works. Like, what kind of a mouse is it? Like, it's not a laser mouse, right?
I think it's because it's using the gyroscopes.
Yeah, it seems more based on the gyroscopes and accelerometer. So you don't necessarily need that kind of flat space as much.
You think just waving it in the air would be sufficient?
I feel like it's almost an evolution of the Wiimote.
But at the same time, you're like, oh, you don't need a surface. You can just hold it in front of you. I'm like, your arm would get tired real fast.
No, I'm saying, like, what I'm saying is you don't have to have a whole lot of space next to you. You have some space next to you, but you don't have to have like a flat spot to your side. You can just
use your knees, I guess, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah,
is that enough space? I don't know.
And that's the problem with this. There's no way to know till you get it.
Exactly. I mean, this could be awesome, or it could be Wii Music.
Well, it's like, I don't know. It kind of reminds me of the when the Steam controller first came out. They're like, yeah, we got these awesome touchpads that can simulate the mouse, and you're like, oh, that's really cool. And then when you finally get it, it's like, oh my goodness, trying to use this for a D-pad is atrocious. This is awful. This is horrible. And then, which is why when the Steam Deck came out, you're like, oh, they put a dedicated D-pad. Good, Valve. You learned that other thing was a bad that other thing was bad. You've improved. Very good.
Well, and that's like, for example, right now we're using the camera like the Kinect, so you can do games like that. I like that they're partitioning, like in Mario Party, all these gimmicky things are getting partitioned off into its own little section, instead of being forced down your throat in the base game.
Though, I will say, one thing I find interesting, especially about kind of like the gimmicky features, is usually I think of Nintendo as being the one to come up with the new gimmicks of like some of the features.
Yeah.
But this Direct, I watched at the end, I'm like, okay, so they want to implement all the features that Valve put in the Steam Deck and on Steam, and they want to add gameplay elements from Astrobot.
Yeah.
Like, to me, I'm like,
well,
I usually think of Nintendo making up their own stuff, whereas this time I'm like, I can clearly see the inspiration that they got from their competitors this time.
Well, the thing to remember,
which is
though,
fine. It's just not.
The thing to remember,
Nintendo
though,
to me.
this thing has been in the works for years, so I don't think we can say they are learning from Astrobot.
Well, I mean, Astrobot's Playroom. That scene we saw just then with that rock climbing, I'm like, that's straight from Astrobot's Playroom, which is as old as the
okay. Sorry, I thought you were talking about Astrobot itself. Sorry.
No, Playroom.
Gotcha.
Playroom, which was the tech demo for the PS5 that came with the PS5.
Gotcha.
But like a lot of these other features, kind of the more intangible outside of gameplay features like account management, sharing games, the virtual card, even to a degree, the chat. I feel like a lot of that they've gotten inspiration from Steam and what they've done with the Steam Deck.
Which this is part of one of the things that has annoyed me about Nintendo in the past is that it's like they refused to learn from their competitors. And so they would just ignore good things their competitors did. And it's like, guys, this is becoming the standard. Would you pay attention at all?
Yeah, because to me, it's very clear. They're like, oh, Valve just made it a lot easier for families to share their games within their family. Which, oh, thank goodness they did that. Now I finally have kids. I've made accounts and I've assigned them to each kid, so they're not fighting over Steam Cloud deleting each other's saves anymore. though getting their old save files is finally going to deal with that. And now I can let my teenager play games that my elementary school kids can't. It's like Steam has really stepped up their game on how to handle it as a family. It's like, technically they're all my account, but I can say, nope, this one's meant for the youngest in the family, and this one's meant for the oldest, and manage all the save files. And it's nice to see Nintendo learning from that and make it easier, especially because Nintendo's supposed to be the more family friendly, family oriented gaming company, and for them to be upstaged by the PC gaming company does kind of, it makes Nintendo look bad in comparison. You know what I mean? So, but they're learning from Valve and implementing a lot of the features that they've added for that, which is good.
Yeah, like there's a lot of things because like you said, the pricing and stuff. It's like I didn't like that part, obviously, but there were a lot of other things that I'm like, there's some interesting stuff here that I think is like good, and I want to see this type of innovation. And oh, sorry, I get distracted by Kirby eating a spring, and then he can bounce around. But
though, while this is on the screen, how do you feel about all the Switch 2 editions of stuff?
I think it's kind of a necessary. It depends. Yeah. It's gonna be on a game to game basis only. Like
my problem is the fact that they're charging for it. It's like a DLC basically.
Except that it is an update.
Yeah, if you actually add something that's worth it, I'm fine with that.
But some games look totally not worth it.
Like Pokemon.
Then don't buy it.
Yeah, Pokemon. I'm like, yeah, that's not happening. But it's just
vote with your dollars.
Yeah.
And also like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. That seems like a total waste of everything.
Yeah. No, I had the same thought. I'm like, okay, yeah, you're not making a good argument here, buddy.
I'm like, I bet websites do a better job of showing where things are than this app will do.
Yeah. And so, yeah, it's going to be definitely team by team what they actually do with it. Because Metroid Prime, I'm just going to buy it on the Switch too. Like, there's just no way I'm not. Jamboree TV, for example, with Mario Party Jamboree, that's a maybe for me. It depends upon how much fun that actually looks and if my siblings, who I'd be the most likely to play with, would want to do something like that.
Though but yeah, I do
Zelda,
notice
I don't see it at all.
Though I can tell though that they said that you don't have to buy the upgrade if you have the Nintendo Online Plus pack.
Oh, did they say? I missed that.
So they're really trying to get people to move from Switch Online to Switch Online Plus because they're adding GameCube games and also all of those upgrades. They're like, oh, but if you have that, that'll give you a rental license, I guess we'll call it.
Well, and
if you get the Plus version.
Yeah. To be fair, one of the biggest things that Plus was missing was just it didn't offer that much.
I mean, yeah, that's not the first time they did that, because they also made the extra Mario Kart 8 Deluxe courses be you'd get it if you had Switch Online Plus, or you could buy it separately, which I just bought them separately because I didn't want to get Plus. But yeah, I don't know. They're trying to make Plus have a lot more value, as what you were saying.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things, like, if you're gonna make me buy some, like, the whole reason I have Nintendo Switch Online is only because of how cheap it is. Like, where it's like, I mean, I'm paying like what, $4 a month for it, and I get all this other. It's like, okay, I can justify that, but I've never been able to justify Plus, to me personally. But now it's like, I might take a look at it, but still probably not. But looking at it, one of the other things that was interesting as I was going through the interviews, they I'm trying to find it, but there was a list that they had where it's all the games that they're trying. It was interesting. So obviously, this thing is backwards compatible, but they were talking about how this isn't like the backwards compatibility of Wii U, Wii to GameCube, or from 3DS to DS. And it's like, well, how do you mean it's different? And it's like, well, those were building off basically the same architecture. So it was like, the Wii in some respects was just a souped up GameCube. And it's like, this, we actually redesigned it from the ground up. So these games aren't the exact same as they used to be. And we had to invent some software stuff to basically kind of like do there's like, it's not quite emulation. It's somewhere between emulation and
Wait, so you're saying between Switch 2 and Switch 1?
Yeah, they said they designed it completely from the ground up, and so that you couldn't just pop in a Switch 1 cartridge and it would work. Like, they had to design some stuff to make it to work. And so what thing was interesting was they have this whole chart of
I'm just curious if they did that via hardware or software.
Well, and they said it's a little bit of both is what they're saying.
Okay, because I know some of the work I did on Ryzen 2 is actually what the PS5 uses to play PS4 games. Okay. Backwards compatible.
Well, so the part that's interesting is they created a chart because they talked about how they had to test all the Switch games and see if they were compatible this way. And so they obviously started with their own games, so there's actually a chart that they have with 5 different levels. The first level being no issues found during basic compatibility testing. The second level, games can be started, but further tests are in progress. Games are playable with certain issues in parts of the game. Issues were found during startup and not compatible at all. And what's interesting, if you look at the Nintendo section, it's all either not compatible or no issues found during basic compatibility testing. But then their partner games, there's very few in the no issues found during basic testing, and most of them are in game could be started, further tests in progress.
Wait, you know what that actually sounds like? That sounds like the 80 gig version of the PS3.
Oh?
So the original 20 gig version of the PS3, that had like a complete hardware set for hardware emulation, and it's the most compatible. Whereas the 80 gig PS3, they wanted to make the hardware, I guess, a little cheaper for the development. So they cut out some pieces of it and tried to replace some bits of it with software instead. So it was still able to play PS2 games, but there were a lot more compatibility problems because of it.
Gotcha. Okay.
So it actually kind of sounds more like the PS3's, which, I mean, that's a completely different architecture. So it's got to be better than the PS3's backwards compatibility was, because this is still just a Tegra NVIDIA chip, right? So it can't
Yeah.
be that different. But
Well, so the thing that was interesting is there's only one game that 100% cannot be played on the Switch 2.
oh yeah, what's that?
Nintendo Labo Toy-Con 4 VR kit, which is the one Labo I have actually. And it's all because it's all based around VR, and so the size of the screen matters, and so you can't play it on that. And there's some games that will require you to connect a Nintendo One Joy-Con to play, like Ring Fit Adventure, because obviously the entire game is based around all the accelerometers and tech that's in those Joy-Cons.
Yeah,
Interesting.
The question is, will you be able to connect?
You can. It says here that you can connect it.
You can connect a Switch 1 Joy-Con to a Switch 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's looking like anything that could connect to a Switch 1 can connect to a Switch 2.
Well, I mean, that's a lesson that they've probably learned with the PS5, because the PS5 you can connect PS4 controllers to.
Yeah. Well, and then
Speaking of,
go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, speaking of controllers, can we talk a little bit about GameCube?
Yes.
Yes, the official
The
GameCube
wireless
controller.
GameCube.
I mean, I have some, but they're Power A. They're not Nintendo.
But I think it's interesting that they're actually, going in and doing that. I like it.
It's funny. It's like I don't have Plus, but I'd still probably want to buy one of those controllers for Smash.
Well, and that's the thing is like the Wavebird is still one of their most popular controllers ever. And that's kind of what they've done is they've updated the Wavebird so that it's that it's a
The
Switch.
Wavebird, but this time without the 16th of a second lag.
Well, and the 5-minute battery life.
Yeah, the Wavebird was not exactly a heavy hitter in that category. Trying to
Well, it was before Bluetooth.
Yeah. I mean, I think it used radio, didn't it?
I think so.
Okay,
Yeah.
one of the things people were speculating on of if there was a GameCube online, they're like Tekken or Soul Calibur 2 better be in there with Link. And when I saw, I'm like, everyone's getting their wish.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, I still have my copies. That's the thing. That was one of the games. I had it on the PS2, but when I eventually got a GameCube, I'm like, because I like having Link in Soul Calibur 2, I'm still going to buy a GameCube copy.
Well, and that's the big thing with, like, if you're going to be Nintendo, who is very litigious when it comes to people doing stuff with emulation, it's like, okay, you better be doing as much to trying to get as much as you can on your online service. And so the fact that, like, something that's very specific to the GameCube experience, it's like, okay, good. You still need to be doing better. This is also another feature. I'm like, oh my goodness, finally, the ability to customize your controller.
I do like that they're putting Path of Radiance. That's like a $200 game to find.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm wondering if because I have a copy of it, I'm wondering if the value will go up or down.
I don't know. I'm still mad at my brother-in-law for selling it to a store instead of me.
But no, it's just one of those things. I'm like, interesting. I also noticed that Melee isn't on the list, and it's like, I have a feeling it's going to stay off the list.
I was thinking about it, especially if they have the GameCube controller. I'm just like, oh, have Melee? Have Melee? Like, come on, they got it. Put Melee on there.
Nintendo is at war with the Melee crowd, so I don't think it's going to happen.
Is Smash 64 on Switch Online?
It is, but they're not at war with the Smash 64 crowd. They're at war with the Melee crowd.
Yeah.
Let's be real. No,
for those of us who aren't in the know, why?
Because they're Nintendo, unfortunately. They've been at war with the Melee crowd ever since basically streaming has ever become a thing.
Yeah.
Because they don't like the sweaty competitive crowd.
They don't like the stop having fun. No. They don't like the stop having fun Final Destination, Fox only, no items, one-on-one.
But
they want
they interfere with them having tournaments. And it's very ridiculous in my opinion, where it's like they funded the tournament themselves. That you're not being asked to do anything. You can't realistically claim that, oh, there's all sorts of people who won't buy the more modern Smash game because they're having tournaments in Melee. Because Tournament Melee is just such a different game.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I'm at the... It's funny, because my opinion on the matter, it's like, what do I think? It's like, well, one, I think Nintendo stopping a GameCube tournament is ridiculous and stupid. Like, if they bought a GameCube, they can play a GameCube and they can organize a tournament. Like, duh. Like, that's the first sale doctrine. I also find the Melee competitive scene to be a bit over the top ridiculous too, because I can't stand that gameplay. But
you see, I'm someone who's utterly fascinated by it because it is it's like almost 25 years later, it's still evolving. Characters that were not competitive before, people are finding ways to
I do find that fascinating. I do, yeah. That's the thing, because I hate it when things get too coin mool.
What?
But the fact that innovation, coin mool, it's a Japanese tournament fighting term. It's the whole there's one meta, and we're gonna drill down, and it's just
when the game
can
gets
master
solved,
this character, and so the game gets solved, it gets stale, and people are just perfecting the one way to play. So that's coin mool, and that's countered with innovation, where someone's like, okay, well, the meta is this, so people play this way, which means now this character that before I thought was weak, well, it counters the strategy that's their main thing, so I'm going to go in and just bust up the whole scene with it. And I much prefer the innovation, the extra variety it brings. When everyone's playing the same character on the same map, the same way, it's boring. So I find coin mool absolutely boring, and the fact that Melee has evolved, the meta keeps changing. I like that. That is something neat.
Yeah, and it's one of those things because Melee was a work of pure madness. Because Sakurai and his team built it in about 11 months. Sakurai almost died making the game, and
it's just take a nap. You gotta take a nap sometimes.
The story of it was basically Iwata, who is Sakurai's mentor and almost a surrogate father, said, "We really believe in Melee. Let's we want to make, or we really believe in Smash. We want Melee to be the killer app for the GameCube." And he's like, "Of course, I'll do whatever you need." And he's like, "Okay, there's a catch." And it's like, "What is it?" "We need it to be ready in about 11 months. Sakurai worked 100 hours a week for 11 months straight.
Oh, thank you. That's crazy.
And he literally collapsed at one point when making the soundtrack, when they got the last bit recorded, because they had a full orchestral soundtrack, and he was like talking the entire time. And once the final bit got recorded, he literally collapsed. They took him to a hospital. The doctors told him to take 2 weeks off. He took 1 day off and went back. Because that's just how Sakurai is. And then to top it all off, Iwata went to him and asked, "Okay, this is looking good, but what do you need for this really to work?" And he's like, "You know what? I need a killer dev team and someone really good to lead it." And Iwata said, "Okay." And then Iwata appointed himself the head of the QA team and led it himself.
Control.
Yeah.
Because
my goodness.
Yeah, and it's one of these things, you look at it, Melee should never have existed. It was there are so many just weird things about it, and it's that madness that sort of, it's why it's still evolving to this day.
Mm-hmm.
It's fascinating to me. I love it. Also, I can't believe Cyberpunk is going to run on this thing.
I do.
I can't believe that either.
Like, does Cyberpunk run on a Steam Deck?
Yes,
it does. Okay.
Will it run Doom?
Everything runs Doom. We've been through this. Pregnancy tests will run Doom. Doom will run Doom.
Doom and Doom.
People figured there's this one texture that dynamically loads, and they figured out a way to trick it into loading Doom onto it so you can play Doom within Doom. It's insane.
Final Fantasy VII Remake. We knew it was going to happen. Bravely Default Remake. I'm trying to decide. It's like, there are times where it's like, dang it. I'm like halfway through that game. I'm loving it.
Okay.
Do I want to rebuy it on a new thing?
This was the thing. Everyone was like, I'm sorry, wait, did we get a Hollow Knight Silksong confirmation?
Yes,
randomly
yes, we did.
In a sizzle reel?
4 seconds, but yes.
Man, Hollow Knight, my gosh.
I need to finally play it.
Well, and speaking of everybody getting, like, that was one of the things I saw in the chat was like, show Silksong. And they did. It's one of those moments everybody's getting their wish.
Okay, is this a new Puyo Puyo Tetris 2 or another one? And a new Rune Factory on top of that. My goodness.
Let's be real. With the Puyo Puyo series, 2 games could have literally the same title and we wouldn't know.
Yeah, this is true. This is true. I'm like, is that a remake or a new? I have no idea.
There are so many versions of
yes.
Puyo Puyo Tetris. I don't know, man. I probably haven't played it, whatever it is.
Oh, Puyo Puyo Tetris is amazing. You haven't played it, Splice?
No, I probably haven't played that specific version.
Okay. Well, okay, fair. All right.
There's just so many versions of it. It's like Bomberman games at this point.
You know,
Okay.
it's also they're also showing a lot of the stuff that they announced a week ago.
Yeah, speaking of which, that Raito, they're dropping SMT? Shin Megami Tensei is no longer part of the name of that game? Like, wait, what? That's weird.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they
The
thought
new
it's
Professor Layton announced?
maybe they
Yeah,
thought
I
it's just
saw
too
that.
Japanese for America.
At this stage of the game? That seems kind of strange to me.
It's Nintendo. Who
Yeah.
knows?
I would think Atlas would be like, no, it's Shin Megami Tensei 2 Devil Summoner 2. Like, what are you talking about? Raito remastered. I don't know.
Guys, they're charging us. They're charging us per letter. We need you to just cut it down a little bit.
It's the yellow journalism era where they're charged by word. Okay, this was a big announcement. The next From Software game is going to be exclusive to the Switch.
Yeah, what was that about?
Yeah, that vampires? I mean, my goodness.
It's
Well,
looking
not-
like it's a
not only
spiritual successor
vampires-
to Bloodborne.
Not only vampire, Big Ben was in the background, so this is like Earth.
Yeah, this is, well, I mean, Bloodborne had Big Ben in it too,
Oh,
right?
okay,
I don't know.
I wasn't familiar. I'm not familiar
Yeah.
with.
We might-
I
other
think
than
it
that.
is.
We might need to bring our other roommate for an episode to talk about this at some point.
That'd definitely be interesting.
Yeah, I don't know enough about Soulsborne. The only one I've played is Demon Souls, so like I don't know enough.
I tried Elden Ring I gave it a good solid try this last time, and I'm just like, I'm not good enough to play this game.
Well, like
I'm not patient enough to play this game.
Like I remember when Demon Souls first came out, you and me, Baggins, you picked it up, we tried it out, and you were kind of like, I don't know.
You were there with me.
I was there with you.
I forgot you were part of that.
Yeah, I was, and so I didn't end up buying it, but I did buy the PS5 remake because I saw it on sale at a store for like $30, so I picked it up. I got further than you did, but not that much further. I don't know.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I had paid full new price.
Oh yeah.
And I was just like, yeah, I don't want this.
Yeah, you took it back.
It was one of those, like, the guy at the store told me, I was like, yeah, you have no idea who you were talking to. Like, this was I'm just going to pitch whatever's big rather than I'm going to talk to the customer and figure out what they're looking for.
Well, like, I was interested because it was published by Atlas, so I was expecting an Atlas game. It's very much not an Atlas game. It's a From Software game. Mm-hmm. But From Software was not really known back then. And so,
well, I mean, wasn't Demon Souls their first thing?
It might have been. And yeah, Atlas was it the publisher in just the US, or was it published by Atlas in both in Japan as well. I'm not sure. I can't remember.
I don't know.
All I know is it's a coup for them.
Yeah.
They've definitely
Well, and it's one of those, how long is it going to be exclusive? Is it going to be a temporary one, or is this like,
That's a good question.
Are they going to make use of the hardware in such a way that they can't port it?
I have a hard time believing that.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it if I had to guess.
No, I agree, but it's just sort of like we haven't been given any information that way.
Yeah. No,
I
think it's a good question to ask, and I think in the end it'll be a temporary exclusive.
Splice, is your window open?
Yes, it is.
Okay, because I heard the train pretty loud through your microphone.
Darn. All right. I was in the middle of talking and I thought about muting myself, and I'm like, no, I won't.
I mean, I think you've established a rapport with the audience also that you could just
Ratbirds
mute it.
Yeah, I want to know what the deal is with the
thoughts
Ratbird.
directly into them.
The Ratbird is a confusing decision.
I'll probably never know.
The world may never know.
Yeah, it doesn't really speak to my personal aesthetic. So,
Lizzie just made the joke of the Ratbirds from Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs that Flint Lockwood invented.
I never saw the film.
I haven't either.
It's a good film.
See, my issue is I don't have children.
Yeah,
that
would.
If I go to kids' movies, people give me a weird look.
Do they?
If I go alone, yes.
To be fair, you and I rented.
That's what rentals do. That's what the library is for, right?
Yeah.
No,
go pick up the movie from the library.
But no.
Okay, as soon as I saw this, I'm like, okay, this is Smash or Kirby, whatever it is, it's Sakurai. I don't know what it is. Is this Smash? Is it Kirby? I don't know, but I know who's behind it.
Well, and again, it's another one of those, it's a sequel to a 20-year-old game, but it's done by the right people.
Yeah, well, it was one of those things. I was looking at it, and I was watching one of my streamers, and he's like looking at this, and he's just like, what is this? It's like Kirby Air Riders? I don't... But it's a game that's completely out of the zeitgeist.
Octopus freaked out about this one because he's just like, wait, he's sitting there just like, is it Smash? Because Kirby was the lone survivor in.
Yep. That's why.
I wasn't sure. But then the engine appeared. He's like, Air Ride? Is Air Ride getting a sequel?
Exactly. I mean, that was our thought process exactly too, man.
I mean, it looks gorgeous so far, but
everything looks stunning.
Well, that and Kirby's Air Ride is made to look as close to Melee as possible. So yeah, I mean, like, to me, Kirby Air Ride is basically part of the Smash series because of it.
Actually, Kirby Universe technically is part of the Smash series because Crazy Hand and Master Hand have showed up as bosses in Kirby games.
Yeah.
What we just saw was another thing. Like they knew it was going to be an impact that the director was going to be Sakurai.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so like that's the stinger for the trailer is directed by director Sakurai. And I was just, they knew what we wanted, and they're like, we're going to present this to, like this was the in the same vein of the Mega Man announcement trailer. It's just like, we're going to show it, we're going to show you some cool stuff, and then we're going to reveal. So I just appreciated that.
Yeah. The fact that it's Sakurai, but there is part of me that says, though that tells us he wasn't working on a Smash game. Which he wanted a break from Smash. He needed a break from Smash.
He deserves a break from Smash.
He deserves a break from Smash. And Kirby Air Ride is actually, I mean, that was his break after Melee. So,
Speaking of Smash, what's on the screen right now?
Donkey Kong cosplaying as Mario.
Yeah, Donkey Kong, man.
Donkey Kong Galaxy is kind of...
Okay, it's Donkey Kong 64 too.
Well, so this is the thing. When I first was seeing this, I'm like,
That's
what is
so
this?
cool, the breaking through the
This
terrain.
is what this is. This is the Wreck-It Ralph game, 3D.
Yeah! Holy cow, yeah!
This is the Wreck-It Ralph thing has now come full circle because Donkey Kong is going full Wreck-It Ralph now, where he destroys everything.
This gave me Deep Rock Galactic vibes.
I never played that.
I haven't played it, but I could see it.
I only played it briefly, but it was just sort of one of those things where like you're drilling and breaking everything, and like is Kami still in, or is he?
I'm still here.
Step up. You played Deep Rock Galactic, didn't you?
Briefly.
No, I'm thinking someone else. It was somebody on our on the 6th Discord who was talking about.
Like
gotcha.
Enough to comment on it.
Okay, it was someone else.
Though I must say, I'm not a fan of the redesign of Donkey Kong.
His eyes are terrifying.
Yeah.
I don't mind it personally.
I mean, I can get over it. I just think it doesn't look as good.
I mean, but that seems like they've come a long way from being 2D, and I guess at some point everything has to evolve a certain way.
Well, to me, looking at it, it looks like they're trying to make him look more like the original drawings that.
Yeah, there's some of that.
The cartoony, sort of goofy. Yeah.
No,
exactly.
And closer to the movie at the same time as well.
Which, at that point, it's like chicken, egg. Which is it?
Yeah.
I mean, the egg came before the chicken. Like, there were things before chickens were around that laid eggs. It's the egg. It's always been the egg.
Thank you. But the
no problem. That's what I'm here for.
The bigger the gameplay, like it's just like, okay, how does this differentiate from every other 3D platformer? And then they just go full chaos destruction mode where he's literally ripping out the ground to destroy more ground.
Yeah.
Right.
There's got to be some things he can't wreck through. There's got to be some limitation. The question is how easy is it going to be able to tell what's breakable and what's not?
Well, and also, at what point is that a bug or a feature?
Yeah, there's that too.
When you're going for this much insanity, who knows?
Yeah.
Because like Lizzie's like, I could see myself playing it to where I wrecked so much terrain that I can't get to the end of the level and I'm soft locked.
But it's at the very minimum, because there have been rumors about a 3D Donkey Kong game for quite a while. And I'm just like, I don't know. Is there really space for just, another 3D thing? Like, what are they going to do with it?
For everything.
Well, and then it has like Donkey Kong Country segments, and like, it's really interesting.
And that
banana.
Exactly.
They're bringing that back.
Bonanza.
It was just one of I had no clue what to expect when it started, and when it kept going, I'm like, okay, I have no clue what this game is. But
no, it's utter madness, and I'm kind of excited for it.
Okay, the part that's confusing to me, it's like coming out 1 month after the launch. It's like, okay, but why though? Like, do you guys need one more month of polish on this, or
maybe it was away and they're just like, no, we want to release the.
I mean, there is something also to be said for having a
spacing it out.
Yeah.
From a business perspective, but it's just like 1 month. I'm just like, I don't know, that it just seemed a little odd
to let people's get an extra paycheck in before they releasing it.
Well, that actually isn't a bad argument, because buying a console is not a small purchase.
It is definitely not.
Especially as time is going on.
Yeah. Okay, so we're starting to get close to the end. So, like, what's the thing you saw in this that you were the most intrigued by?
I Like, quite honestly, I was intrigued that they led with Mario Kart, and like the actual Switch cut stuff was like third on the docket. I was like, huh, I guess they know what their fans are really after here.
Yeah.
I
mean, Nintendo has always been known as the game company.
Well, I mean, one thing that's interesting is the biggest game on the Switch wasn't even a Switch exclusive, which was Mario Kart 8. The Switch did not get its own Mario Kart, and yet its Mario Kart was the best-selling game of all time for Nintendo. Mm-hmm. Imagine that. Interesting.
I will say there was one thing that I wanted to see that I didn't see. I haven't seen, like, I want some re-release or remaster, or even just on the GameCube, Nintendo Switch Online, of Twilight Princess.
Yeah.
And I'm still waiting for it. I want it so bad.
I mean, there's the Wii U HD, but yeah, that's the last, that's the only remake they have of that one.
Wait, did they do Twilight Princess on that? I know they did Wind Waker. I don't remember seeing Twilight Princess.
On the Wii U, there was a Twilight Princess HD remake.
Okay, I don't remember seeing that.
People really like that one because it plays more like the GameCube one, and
because like I've seen the remake of we've done Wind Waker and Skyward Sword, and I'm like I want Twilight Princess on it.
Yeah, so Skyward Sword was on the Switch, but Wind Waker and Twilight Princess both had an HD remake.
Okay, I never saw the Twilight Princess, but I'm hoping that it shows up on Nintendo Switch Online.
Yeah.
Now that the GameCube is available, and yes, I am paying for Plus because it's not that much more, and I'm single and have single person disposable.
But no, okay. For me, the thing that I was most intrigued by, just because to me it sounded so un-Nintendo like, and I was trying to find it earlier, but on their Pro controller that they're releasing for this, having the programmable secondary buttons.
Yes.
That's
a big thing now.
Yeah. Well,
it feels like
it just runs so counter to how Nintendo tends to do things.
Mm-hmm. Right. I feel like they're learning.
Actually, I feel like that's a return to roots with all their crazy controllers they had for the NES.
Well, it's not that it's not that it's crazy. It's the fact that it's customizable.
Mm-hmm.
Like Nintendo tends to, in their history, be like, this is how you will play it. And it's like, well, what if I want to do it slightly differently? And it's like, well, but we designed it this way. Why would you want to do it? They're very much that mindset of, no, here's your boutique experience. We designed it this way for you.
Though a lot of their licensed second-party Switch controllers had that ability, though.
Well, and to be fair, there are a few exceptions to that rule, like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, where it's just like, here's your goal, get there somehow.
Well, and that's sort of it just feels like a new direction for Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I do think there's a happy medium when it comes to Legend of Zelda. I would like to see them go back to, but
I would love to get back on rails with Zelda.
But I don't know. For me, that was the thing that was like I was most intrigued by them, like the customizable controls in the GameCube Online, the customizable Pro controller. It's just because the other problem Nintendo has is there.
Mm-hmm.
Looney, what was the thing that got you the most interested?
I was trying to think because I knew the question was coming, but kids are, I don't know.
Yeah, this with you just need a single copy to play. You just need a single copy to play on multiple Switches at the same time.
Also had to play
yeah.
Cheese it, it's the fuzz. Cheese it, it's the fuzz.
Darn straight.
Like Lizzie's calling it GPS Zelda.
I can't criticize you. I've bought some games way too many times.
That is actually an interesting question. Like, the Steam Deck is actually cheaper.
Yeah, Steam Deck's cheaper.
Depends what Steam Deck.
What's that?
Depends which version of the Steam Deck you get.
No, you feel like
Splice,
this
you get
point off of Baggins, who is single and is big video game. You've got Luna's the notion of whether you were going to get it or not.
Well, increase the game prices
for Smash 4.
Oh well, yeah, Splice. I mean, you don't collect games quite like I do.
Exactly, and so for me, it changes nothing.
Why I think we're a good spread.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, I was already planning on picking one up. It just made me more excited for it.
And
I will say it made me more intrigued.
Also, a new James Bond game made by the Hitman team.
Yeah, that was
intrigued.
Interesting.
Looking at it right now, for me, there's nothing I % need it. It's time for it yet. Frankly, it's also the issue of mode in it and a few new characters a year, and I'm good. That's just me.
Always wary of whenever somebody says, "Oh, this is going to be right up your alley. This is just like especially when they say this is your level of humor," because people said Will Ferrell was my level of humor, and every Will Ferrell movie I've watched, I'm just like,
your humor is nothing like Will Ferrell.
I think
there was
he's
that
more Family Guy skit where Stewie sees him in a movie, make a joke, and then goes all the way to Los Angeles, buys a ladder, buys a chair or something, walks up to his door, knocks on it, gets on the ladder, and as soon as he opens the door, hits him with the chair and goes, "That's not funny," and then leaves. I was like, hey, that's actually funny. But yeah, I don't know. So I've been told I would be into Yakuza, but
really confused. I don't know. Breakfast thinks, they'll probably pull Link from the future back into the past somehow partway through the game, just because. But I don't know.
Nickel.
It's weird that it happened twice.
It's weird. I feel like they planned that out.
So I don't know. Hopefully,
we're getting Super Nintendo World theme park and stuff that, and it's now directly competing with Disney. Is that it's Nintendo actually has a fairly large princess collection that they if they
for sure.
No, it was over a decade ago doesn't mean decades. This is though.
I don't know. Time when people tell me
it's just one of those things. It's
it's those moments I have to remind myself I have a teenager.
No, it just made me think of when you just pointed out that it's 2 straight games without Link. It's maybe that is on purpose. Maybe they're just trying to highlight their princesses for a little bit to be like, hey, look what we got. We got princesses. You like princesses? We got them.
Well, and
if you throw in Fire Emblem, man, you got plenty of princesses with swords to go with.
It's still my favorite concept of the Mean Girls remake where
I forgot. I got distracted.
No, me too. But no, it was just change. I always I'll give you a chance. You've done some weird crap that's worked.
Well, and then the green screening camera and
this is the same company that accidentally built one of the best pedometers in world history. And it was for a Pokemon game. And you're just why? Yep. Why do you do this, Nintendo? Why do you randomly do things that are golden for things that don't matter and then skimp on things that do?
Mm-hmm. So this game, Civ 7, it also makes me think again of the mouse functionality. It makes some of these games a lot more approachable. FPSs on console, it's just objectively, agreed that FPSs on console are inferior to PC because of the mouse keyboard. Well, they're kind of coming for that.
It's Civ 7 has turned out to be such a disappointment.
Beat it on the PS3.
I should put that on a t-shirt. That's not bad.
Yeah, it's really not. It's pretty good.
If I get the right font, it's just dumb.
Why bother having a demo at that point?
It looked like they were trying to take ideas from Astrobot, but I don't see how that thing could possibly be. I don't.
It looks like a glorified user manual.
Yep.
Yeah. Like I said, Astrobot's Playroom was an actual good game. That was, it was a manual, but also an actual good game. I just can't see that thing being that. It's ridiculous.
Me neither. But it's just one of the. It would be the most Nintendo thing, though, to accidentally make your tech demo the highest selling game on your system. They're weird.
I mean, PlayStation kind of did that because, the expanded Astrobot's Playroom to, I don't know. Hope you liked it at a time. And in my point, I don't even want to build something until I have the right hard drive for it. The right alternate recipe.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say, you have to upgrade your hard.
Yeah, not necessarily at full settings, but I think I could do it.
Well, actually, I don't know. Once you get a lot of stuff going, like on my map, my CPU is cooking really hard. It gets hot, the fan gets loud. It's keeping track of a crap ton of stuff. But it's not that way on a new game. Just once you've put several hundred hours into building stuff. But
right.
That is the
Jay and her story, Entangled Enemies, which is on Tapas. He's been working on a new chapter, which will hopefully be out soon. I invite everyone to go. So when he gets high on pure Dr. Pepper syrup, I can. Everyone needs to help me out.
Baggins, would you like to promote something? We're putting Lunasar in timeout for a second.
Suikoden 1 and 2 remaster, HD remaster. Check it out. It's my favorite game of all time. Is Suikoden 2.
I will actually promote Lizzie because she actually did finish her St. Patrick's rainbow hunt to get to the gold at the end of the rainbow. She finished it. Well, it bled into April. I'm trying to think. She's going to make a YouTube video to put up on her YouTube channel to be her
same name.
Her rainbow hunt. I believe so, right? Lizzie Petrichor. Well, I guess she says she's lost the stream, but.